L.S.T. Heat Treating was founded by Scott Touchstone to provide heat treating services to the oil and gas industry, as well as tool and die shops. By heating metal parts to specified temperatures, the process can change the physical properties of the metal to meet the strength needs of the end user, such as an oil company involved in the drilling of oil wells where pressures can be extreme. Scott decided that before he could pass on the business to his son-in-law, he needed to bring in a team of business experts to strengthen the structure of the business so that the company would survive a succession to the next generation.
What are the insights you gained from the business analysis?
I'm approaching retirement age. Actually, I've been retired for 6 years because of one of the problems with owning a small company is as you age, the insurance goes sky high. So therefore, to avoid this, I retired, and that way you get Medicare. My general manager, Richard Lane, is a young man who I've transitioned from basic helper all the way into the general managership of the company. And he needs a lot of insight and pushing. And through the transition of him becoming my general manager, he also became my son-in-law. So this works out well. We can family transition, and which allows us to gift X amount of the company, and then they can financially buy the rest of the company, which sets up my retirement in good shape, and et cetera, et cetera. So as he needed a lot of insight into the financials, as I've been discussing with him how to do this, but this comes from a different source of how to do it. And by coming from an unfamiliar source, he's receiving basically the same information, but turns on a light bulb. And therefore, it's something that was strongly needed to inform him how to do this, how to manage the financial. Everybody thinks, oh, all you gotta do is run the work, send the bills, and everything works fine. Does not work. You've got to maneuver and maintain a good financial base. And this is where the learning curve is, and that's what we needed to help to improve the learning curve to allow Richard to take over.
Scott, how did our consultants help you improve your business operations?
To be able to transition the company from one generation to the next, you've got to be able to transfer huge, astronomically huge volumes of knowledge from one person to the next. And therefore, if you have to set up a system to keep records, and the consultants came in and they looked at our existing computer system and said, you've got everything you need here, but you're not using it. And he says, it's hard, the initial setup is the initial cost and initial time consuming. And he told us, don't worry about it. He says, when you set it up, afterwards it's easy to reuse because it'll automatically feed itself. And so they came in and they did that, and between Richard Lane, my general manager, and then our girl Friday, April Keith, who took excellent notes, and she's the one who installed everything into the computer. So at this point, if Richard needs information, he goes, punches a button, the computer feeds the information he needs. Where am I at financially? How much am I owed? How much did I do last month? What did I do compared to last year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He's got it, fingertip. And then on the knowledge of running the business and how to keep up with the money, I can tell you where I'm at. Richard can't. I've been doing it for 30 years. And therefore, I have huge amounts of information stuck in my head, but I can't take it out of my ear and stick it in his ear. We can't plug a wire between us and feed him information. It doesn't work that way. So, and it's very difficult to transfer the information, you know. But the record keeping that it was instituted while they were here has immensely helped us to feed Richard the information he needs to continue with the growth of the company.
How did our consultants help you improve the productivity of your employees?
I think the main thing is it's helped my upper echelon, the management people, be more aware of what exactly is going on. We've we've always given a incentive bonus to people, but we never made them earn it. So with the system that they set up at this point, we have been able to manage to say, okay, if our production is good, our rework is reduced, our time management is better, then you can earn more money. And by making Richard, my general manager, and my production manager, Gus Paterka, more aware of this, how to help the employees utilize their time more efficiently, it should work better. It's not 100% yet, but it seems to be starting to have a little effect. And it makes our managers and our management more aware, and therefore their attitude can become better. And attitude and awareness and efficiency is the old Reagan trickle-down effect. Whatever the top does will get down to the bottom, and it always goes that way. So, and it seems to be working fairly well.
Scott, how did you benefit from the financial reporting system our consultants put in place for you?
The main thing, Tom, is that I can look and say, okay, we have this much money, and we can do this. But now at this time, my wife being a comptroller she looked at me funny sometimes and says, why are you doing this at this time? Because it'll take a big bite of available cash. I said, well, this is this and this, okay. But now I can show her on the records and ease her mind a little bit. She worries about more money than I do, a lot more. So I can ease her mind and say, okay, we're going to do this, but we're doing this monthly, and therefore we have a growth rate of this, and therefore we can afford to do that. It will be cost us here, but it will benefit us over here because we'll have more income. And she said, okay. But the main thing is on the tax burden. After X amount of years, most companies are audited. So therefore with the records we are keeping now on the financial end of this company, I have no worry whatsoever of a tax audit because I have everything I spent, every dime. It's all tracked, it's all assigned to a vehicle. You can tell me, well, you claim this much on that, and I flip it out and said, there it is. And to the tax people, and that way, they can't question. And the one thing you don't want a problem with is the IRS. They are not nice people. Well, they might be nice guys out when you go take them out golfing or fishing or something. They might be fine. But when they're doing their job, they want answers. And you got to be prepared to give them. And record keeping is so important to that. And that set up a good system. That helped us in our computer.
How did our consultants help you grow the business in the future to help you transition your business as you have planned?
All my life, you might say I've had a dream. I've always wanted to own my own company. I've always wanted this. Guess I'm ambitious. I had an instance 40 some odd years ago with the president of the company I worked for, and I'd made a boo-boo. I had a little bit of help, but I'd made a boo-boo, and so therefore he had a problem. I'd created a problem for him. So he called me in the office and he set me down and he's talking to me and he asked me, he says, well, where do you want to be in 10 years? And I looked at him, I said, well, I want to be sitting in your chair. It kind of took him aback, but he said, that's a good answer. You have a plan. He said, good. And so that's where you've got to teach the younger generation the plan. You've got to give them the dream. You've got to transition it to them. And by setting this up and talking to the management consultants, Richard got a better overall view of how to manipulate a company into the future. So it's a training thing for him. Always, you take the plan of your senior management, and you add that into the consultants and you make it grow, because as your employees have seniority, they get more benefits, they get more compensation, base materials, cost of utilities, everything goes up as the world turns. And you've got to be prepared to be able to meet those expenses as the company goes. And so you take the plan and you give it to Richard, and he, because it's coming from a different source, he grasps it a little bit better. He's more willing to listen. And therefore, that you can get this transition dream of the growth, the future growth, to adding more services for customers so that they're happy. If you have to give them a small price increase, you can give them a small price increase. But you can't keep increasing your price without more service. Don't work. So they want something for their buck. And therefore, by doing this and passing this on and showing them how to do it, we accomplished the goal of the transition from one generation to the next in my retirement. I can go play.
Scott, what would you say to a business owner who's considering using our analytical and consulting services to improve his business?
The first thing I'd do, I'd ask him, what's going to happen? What are you going to do? What's your plan? And he'd probably look at me, plan? I don't got one. It's like the new commercial they got. The man's walking down the street on the sidewalk, and he's got the 1,270,000, something like that, and this is the figure he needs to retire. And he looks up there and he says, well, what's your plan? And he says, I see you say you got $1 gazillion up there. He says, do you really have a plan? And the guy says, no, I just throw money at it. Well, do you want to throw money at it, or do you want a plan? These people can help you. What did they do? They come in and they don't give you a plan. They ask you, what do you want? And then they say, okay, now, you do this and you get this and you do certain things, you can achieve that. Then they'll ask you another question. And you'll say, well, what do you recommend? No, what do you want? This is your plan. This ain't my plan. This ain't our plan. It's your plan. And what they do, they'll come in and they'll get your mind working so you can, and they'll walk you through the steps of how to plan. I keep bringing up transition. I says, you've got to have a plan. Someday you've got to retire. And how do you do that? You sell the company? What are you going to do with it? You've got capital gains looking at you. I sold a company. Government got almost half of my money. They didn't work for it. I did. But I didn't have a plan, except to get out. But this time, we're made of a plan, and it's legal. The disasters that you can get into by not wording a contract of sale to a next generation person can just destroy the whole program. And I don't know this. I'm not an attorney. They know. They have the people that know. And they keep that, and they keep asking you, what do you want? And they'll walk you through this. So in a transition, how to work taxes, how to do this, it's astronomical. And so they really are a benefit to any kind of real programming. And if a lot of entrepreneurs, or however you say that, are just people off the street. They have a dream, but they have no legal training. They have nothing. And that's where these people come in. They can help you make sure that you have a transition. If something happens to you, you have a plan. You have a plan for the future. And this is where it all comes in. Plan for the future. And that's why they're helpful. They're very helpful.
Describe to me what your business was like before you brought in our team of business experts and how it has changed for the better today to transition your business.
You might say, Tom, that have you ever flown an airplane? Okay. Now the thing is, the old term in the 30s and the 40s, you flew an airplane by the seat of your pants. It's in your head. You know where you're going. You hope you get there. Well, that's how the businesses, most businesses, not just mine, everybody's. You come in, you first start them. They're run by you fly them by the seat of your pants. It's all in your head. All right, time to retire. You can't fly by the seat of your pants anymore. So you have, these people have showed us how what I'm doing in my head is now on paper, more or less, a lot of it, not everything, for Richard and the next transition, the next generation, to come in. They say, well, the old man used to do this. When he got to this point, he would do this, which would give us a growth dream, a growth factor. And he says, so therefore, okay, I know how to do that now. So you do this, do that, do this, do that, and it gives you a plan. And that's the main thing about it. It gives you a plan. That's the whole idea.
Scott, what benefit did you get from the strategic tax planning for you and your business?
As most small businesses, and actually everybody on TV, they're talking about pay your fair share taxes. And they want us to pay taxes on everything we do. We have a very high tax rate. It's not right. I do a small business. I support 10 families. I still pay a huge amount of taxes. And people have come in, and by the reorganization, which I worked with corporations, I knew they had a different tax structure because they weren't paying that percentage that I am. And so, but you know about it, but you don't know how to go about it. You have a tax tax person that you just go to, and they do numbers and file reports, and you pay. And then you have an attorney, and he helps you with your meetings and your structure of the company, that you got to have these meetings and everything like that. They help with that. All right. Then once I told them about the company that came in and that, I know how to do that. Okay. Tax accountant, same way. I know how to do that. Okay. Why didn't you tell me? That's the question. Why? Because they're not experts at it. There are questions in there that have to be answered. If you restructure your company, the IRS is going to look at you real hard. You don't do it right. With all the little dots and dots and dots and cross, those I's and T's, they all got to be crossed and dotted. You're in trouble because they want money. And therefore, these people came in there. They helped us. They restructured. They've given us a tax plan that will save us money. We're still going to pay our fair share because you've done that. But it will help us grow because we can take our tax savings and apply them to growth. And that's what you want to do. So therefore, these people can help on those taxes. And I'm pretty impressed. So